Hamilton didn't just get angry at the FIA. He saw one safety car decision at the British Grand Prix threaten the one thing every Formula One driver needs more than speed: trust. Because at Silverstone, a safety car is never just a safety car. It can erase a lead. It can destroy a tire strategy. It can rescue a rival who is running out of options. And in a race where every second can decide everything, one unclear call can turn a Grand Prix into a controversy. But here's the part that makes this bigger. This happened during a period where the FIA was already under pressure, with investigations, penalties, review requests, and procedural decisions surrounding recent race weekends. So when Hamilton's frustration exploded, it didn't feel like one isolated complaint. It felt like the moment a much deeper problem finally surfaced. Was Hamilton furious because the decision cost him track position? Was he angry because the timing changed the race? Or was this really about something Formula One has still not fully solved, the gap between what race control decides and what drivers, teams, and fans are actually able to understand in a moment? The answer is not as simple as people think. And by the end, the real question will not be whether Hamilton overreacted. It will be whether the FIA can still expect drivers to trust a system that can change the shape of a race in a matter of seconds. Subscribe to the channel. To understand why Hamilton's reaction mattered so much, you have to start with what a safety car actually does to a Formula One race. It sounds simple from the outside. There's danger on the track, so the race is slowed down. The cars line up, the drivers reduce their speed, and the marshals get time to deal with whatever has happened safely. That is the clean version. But inside a Grand Prix, a safety car is one of the most powerful forces in the entire race. It can wipe out a gap that took 20 laps to build. It can turn a driver's perfect strategy into a trap. It can give another driver a cheaper pit stop at the exact moment his race looked finished. It can take control away from the driver, away from the team, and place it directly in the hands of timing. And timing at Silverstone is everything. The British Grand Prix is not just another weekend for Hamilton. It is the race where the crowd carries his name before the lights even go out. Every overtake feels louder. Every setback feels more personal. Every decision made by race control lands in front of a public that has watched him build part of his legend on that circuit. So when a safety car decision becomes the source of his anger, the reaction is not small. Because Hamilton knows what that one call can do. It can change tire temperatures. It can change track position. It can change the gap to the cars behind. It can change whether a driver attacks, defends, saves, or survives. And most importantly, it can change the emotional truth of the race. That sounds dramatic, but it is not. Imagine running a race at school, building a huge lead, breathing hard, doing everything right. Then suddenly, everyone is told to stop and bunch back together because something happened further down the track. You might understand why it happened. You might even agree that it was necessary. But when the race starts again, your advantage is gone. That is what a safety car can feel like. Necessary but brutal. Fair in purpose, but painful in consequence. And that is where the FIA enters the story. The FIA is not supposed to make decisions based on who benefits. Its job is to manage the race, enforce the rules, and protect safety. But the problem is that Formula One moves too quickly for explanations to feel complete in the moment. A call is made, the race changes instantly, and only afterward do people begin asking whether the timing made sense. That delay creates suspicion, and suspicion is dangerous in Formula One, because teams remember everything. Drivers remember everything. Fans remember everything. A penalty from one weekend, an investigation from another, a review request from a different race, all of it builds a background feeling. The source material around this topic shows the FIA was already involved in several decisions and investigations across recent race weekends, including a post-sprint investigation, a confirmed British Grand Prix grid penalty, curfew breach decisions, and a Mercedes review request from Monaco. Those details matter because they create the atmosphere. Hamilton's frustration did not arrive in a vacuum. It landed at a time when race control and FIA decisions were already being watched closely. So the safety car call was not judged only as one isolated moment. It was judged as part of a larger question. Is the system clear enough when it matters most? That is the question sitting underneath Hamilton's anger. Not just did the safety car help one driver or hurt another. Not just was the race neutralized at the right time. The deeper issue is whether the people inside the race, the drivers risking everything, and the fans trying to understand the chaos, can trust that the logic is consistent. Because once that trust starts to crack, every decision feels heavier. A yellow flag feels heavier. A penalty feels heavier. A safety car feels heavier. And at the British Grand Prix, with Hamilton at the center of it, that weight becomes impossible to ignore. But the real controversy does not begin with the safety car itself. It begins with the moment people start asking why it happened the way it did. Because in Formula One, a safety car decision is never just one decision. It's a chain reaction. First, race control sees a problem. Then the message goes out. Then the teams react. Then the drivers ask what is happening. Then strategy changes in real time. And before the average viewer has even understood the danger, the entire shape of the Grand Prix may already be different. That is the hidden power of race control. One call made from outside the cockpit can suddenly decide who has clean air, who has tire temperature, who gets trapped behind traffic, and who gets a chance they did not earn through pure pace. And that is exactly why Hamilton's anger became so important. Because the question was not simply whether the FIA had the authority to deploy or manage the safety car. Of course it did. The FIA runs the race. Safety is its responsibility. If there is danger, race control has to act. But here's the problem. Authority is not the same as trust. A decision can be official and still leave people feeling that something was not right. A call can follow a procedure and still create confusion. A moment can be legal and still feel unfair to the driver whose race is suddenly transformed. That is where this story becomes bigger than one lap. Hamilton's fury appeared to come from a feeling that the safety car decision changed the competitive balance of the race in a way that was difficult to accept. The source information does not give every missing detail. It does not provide the exact radio message, the precise lap, or the full official explanation from race control. But that absence actually points toward the core issue. When the explanation is incomplete, suspicion fills the space. And suspicion spreads faster than any car on the grid. A fan watching at home sees Hamilton frustrated, hears that the FIA is involved, and immediately starts connecting dots. A team on the pit wall starts comparing the decision with previous calls. A rival fan argues that it was simply racing. A Hamilton fan argues that the race was damaged. And within minutes, the safety car is no longer a safety tool. It becomes evidence. Evidence of inconsistency. Evidence of poor timing. Evidence that the people making the calls still struggle to explain them clearly when the pressure is highest. And this matters because the FIA was already in the middle of a wider storm of scrutiny. Around the same period, the source points to FIA investigations, penalties, review requests, and procedural decisions. A post-sprint investigation. A British Grand Prix grid penalty confirmed after investigation. Curfew breach questions involving Mercedes and Audi. A Mercedes review request connected to Monaco. These are separate events, but they all add weight to the same feeling. The rule makers were not invisible. They were part of the story. And when the officials become part of the story, every call feels louder. Think about it like this. If a referee has had a quiet match, one difficult call might be accepted. People complain for a moment, then move on. But if the referee has already been questioned several times, then the next whistle becomes explosive. Even if the referee believes the decision is correct, the crowd does not hear only that whistle. They hear all the whistles before it. That is what happened around this controversy. Hamilton's anger did not land in empty space. It landed inside an environment where FIA decisions were already being watched carefully. So the safety car call was not treated like an isolated moment of race management. It became part of a bigger argument about consistency. And consistency is everything in Formula One. Drivers can survive bad luck. They can accept a sudden weather change. They can accept a slow pit stop. They can accept a rival getting the better strategy by chance. But what they cannot accept is the feeling that the rules become unclear at the exact second the race is being decided. That feeling is poison. Because once a driver starts wondering whether the process is predictable, every future call becomes heavier. The next yellow flag feels different. The next penalty feels different. The next restart feels different. Not because the rules have changed, but because the trust has changed. And Hamilton knows that better than almost anyone. He has spent his career living inside tiny margins. A tenth of a second here. A tire temperature shift there. A safety car window opening for one driver and closing for another. He knows that the public might see a simple line on the timing screen, but inside the race, that line can represent hours of preparation being broken apart in seconds. That is why his reaction could not be dismissed as just emotion. Emotion was part of it, yes. But in Formula One, emotion often reveals where the pressure point really is. Hamilton was not angry because safety cars exist. No serious driver wants danger ignored. No serious driver wants marshals exposed. No serious driver wants a damaged car or debris left in a dangerous place just because the race is exciting. The anger comes from the other side of the decision, the competitive side. The side where drivers ask, why now? Why like this? Why did this procedure unfold in this way? Why did one group benefit while another paid the price? And most importantly, would the same call have happened the same way if the positions were different? That last question is the most dangerous one. Because once people start asking whether a decision would be the same for everyone, the debate is no longer about the safety car. It is about fairness. And fairness in Formula One is fragile. Not because the sport is simple, but because it is so complicated. There are sporting regulations, technical rules, race director instructions, team radio messages, timing loops, marshal posts, and procedures that fans rarely see in full. Most viewers do not know every detail. They do not need to. What they need is a basic sense that the race is being handled with a stable logic. When that logic is not obvious, the sport starts to feel unpredictable in the wrong way. There is a good kind of unpredictability in Formula One. Rain in the final laps, a bold tire gamble, a rookie holding off a champion, a team making a brave call when nobody else dares. That kind of uncertainty is why people watch. But there is another kind. The kind where nobody can explain why the race changed the way it did. That kind does not create excitement. It creates doubt. And doubt is exactly what the FIA cannot afford when Hamilton is at the center of the storm, especially at the British Grand Prix. Because Silverstone adds emotion to everything. The crowd does not just watch Hamilton there. They feel him. Every time he attacks a corner, the grandstands rise. Every time he loses ground, the mood shifts. Every time he questions a call, thousands of people instinctively lean toward his side of the story. That does not automatically mean he is right, but it does mean the FIA has a much harder job explaining why he is wrong, if that is what the evidence shows.